Yo, 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 yo. What's up, what's up, what's up? Give up the rack. And hello to my fellow revolutionaries. You know who you are. Love Jeff, brother. How are you? And Squeeb in the house. How you going? I hope you have had a good weekend. I hope to everyone who's watching this, whether it be live or otherwise, that you've also had a good weekend. You're well rested so you can come back and serve capital and continue to help the economy go round, not just in your local context, but in the broader global context, because we are all part of this machine, and one day that machine will make some type of qualitative leap into a new mode of production altogether, but it will be with all of our micro efforts that we will be able to transform into that new form of economy. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed your time off and you're ready to come back fighting for the expansion of capital. It's what we do here. It's what we do in this day and age. So, yeah, today we're going to be going through some interesting developments geopolitically, I guess you could say. Squeeb, gentlemen, you can't fight here. This is the war room. Yeah, okay. We're going to be going. We're going to be going there today. We're going to be figuring out what the hell's going on with the new propaganda coming out of Trump's administration. Cheese Swiss in the house. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome along. Welcome to the fun. We're going to be doing some American deep diving today, as Stephen Z likes to say, this week in America, because it very much seems like we are watching, at the moment anyway, a broad scale and with deep ramifications, a reality TV show unfold before our eyes. And we're going to be looking at a big highlight in the reality TV show that has been Trump's America over the weekend, or was it over the weekend? I don't know, a few days ago now, a couple of days ago. Trump, no, it was on Friday, actually. It was on Friday, American time. So Saturday for us in Australia. Trump hosted some of the top tech CEOs, the veritable who's who of the American tech sector, were at the White House having some yum yums with the president and the first lady. And like, it's just a huge part of this shift at the moment in the bourgeoisie towards the most powerful elements of the current economy. And the current economy, according to someone like Shoshana Zuboff, who you may be familiar with if you've been, scouting around on this channel for long enough now, Shoshana Zuboff is the first person who really articulated a new form of capitalism that we're in. So we've moved beyond, financialized capital into a surveillance form of capitalism. So surveillance capitalism. Yo. Mark's in the house doing a roll call. Welcome, good sir. We're going to be looking at this latest episode in the reality TV show known as Trump's America. So we're in the Trump season at the moment, Trump 2.0. And yeah, he's had some important people over for dinner. Some people that I like to describe, thanks to a bit of Yanis Varoufakis assessment, but I like to describe them as techno-feudalists. So Trump has invited the biggest techno-feudalists that you can get to the White House to kiss the ring, it would seem, and also commit to ensuring America's strategic interests against China. A lot of this stuff really seems to be, it's funny, right? American foreign policy has basically dictated the world's global policy for so long. It seems like if there's an inflection point that has occurred. You didn't say, well, when I said her name, Shoshana, please. That is my favorite name in American academia, Shoshana Zuboff. And I must say it once every time we speak about her beloved topic, surveillance capitalism. Jag, it's good to have you. Yeah, so we have the biggest techno-feudalists lining up, and Trump seems to be reacting to China, which is a very interesting point, again, in modern history, or like very contemporary modern history, because yes, America has really basically written the rules of the game for the entire world order. And now the threat of China has America kind of reacting to things. We haven't really seen stuff like this since, points of the Cold War, let's say, where, Russia or the Soviet Union started killing the space race, let's say, and America was producing its foreign policy and its internal infrastructure and investment decisions based on, oh, damn, the Soviets are doing this, so we better get on top of this because we don't want to look bad in front of the other countries. And so that's happening again here, and it's definitely happening thanks to the AI revolution that we're currently underway with at the moment, I guess you would say. And so yes, he's hosted the who's who of the American techno-feudal elite. These are the people that will be taking over society in one way or another for the most part. This is the public-facing section of them anyway. There are a lot of people that aren't so public-facing but still just as instrumental as your Mark Zuckerbergs and your Bill Gates of the world. So let's see what this type of political arena is like. It might be a really interesting kind of Game of Thronesy kind of moment. I think it's going to be very much akin to what we saw a few weeks ago when Zelensky came over for round 2 to see Trump. And this time he came with all of his friends from the European Union, the biggest members of the European Union too, to try and protect him so Trump and Vance didn't use him as a punching bag for their own strangely pro-Russian rhetoric at the time, which has evolved and completely gone since then. But like that meeting in exactly the same forum, they were sitting down for dinner, and like everyone was just kissing Trump's asshole so hard. And we might see a little bit of that today, I'm thinking. So this will be a very interesting, like I said, Game of Thronesy-esque situation. Do you think they had to pay to sit closer to Daddy? Well, like I just can't, like, let me show you the imagery that I've got here before we start the video. And like talking about like sitting close to Daddy, like how did Zuckerberg get there? Like he's literally at Trump's right hand there. He's got Melania over there, ready to go on the left. But like Zucky's right there. He must have paid extra to sit next to her. But like Zucky's don't pay extra to get access to anything anymore. He used to back in the day. A gift rather than a patty. What does that mean? What's a patty refer to? But yeah, a gift instead of paying out. I'm assuming, maybe they gifted him something, and we're going to find out what that gift is very, very soon. I'm assuming because Trump's got his hand out and he's asking for money. But yeah, Bill Gates is there within close enough range. Oh, the Department of War, right? You've got some good attachments going on there with the Department of War. Did you generate that through AI, or has that just come up? Or have you just found that somewhere? Here's an AI generated image of Trump's Department of War, which we're going to be getting to as well. So Squeebs nicely donated that to us in the Discord. So we take donations in the Discord. So make sure you get on top of that. He gifted immortality, I heard. All right. Give up your Trump tech. Yo. What's up? 4AS in the house. So yeah. Shall we just go straight to it then? That's an interesting little emoji that you got there. It doesn't come up on my system. It comes up with colon face, turquoise covering eyes, colon. My system can't read that through Restream. That's fucking hilarious. I can't believe it can't read emojis. That sucks. All right. Let's have a look at the Game of Thronesy stuff that's going on between the techno-feudalists and the current God Emperor of world capitalism, soon to be displaced by these techno-feudalists, might I add. I'm sure they've all got a bit of a bent when it comes to, the Dark Enlightenment, at least. They would all think that they could do a much better job of running the economy in the interests of Silicon Valley than the current or any type of democratic system would, or the current administration would be able to. So let's see this clash of the titans and how they just kind of, play nice political discourse with one another. Gates is just hoping he gets protected in the PDF files. Yes, because he's already been caught in some hot water anyway when it comes to being related to Epstein. His former, or his ex-wife, I think she mentioned that she left him just because he was associated with Epstein at some point. But he's touched them all. And I don't mean the kiddies. I mean all of the most wealthy, rich and powerful and influential people. God Emperor Mystery is going to have to play Total War Hammer 40k now. Yeah, well, we'll get there. I'm working my way up. I'm working my way up through the different modes of production, actually. I'm going to go Ancient World, going to go Medieval. I don't know if there is a capitalistic version of Total War. Probably not. But we'll skip to the future if we can. Actually, Mark, I was speaking to people in the chat when I was playing Rome Total War the other day, and they said they only have the fantasy Warhammer Total War. They don't have 40k, but I would like to know more. I think the technocrats are using Mr. Art of the Deal to hoover up all the minerals deals that they can before Trump's term is over. Kind of like in Spaceballs when the ship turns into a cleaning maid. That's fucking hilarious. Yeah, that's an interesting kind of assessment of this. As I guess the tech bros seek to consolidate their interests in the actual real world, like in the marketplace, they will need access to all of these minerals that make their tech work for them, because there'll be nothing without the actual physical tech, the hardware that supports all of the software that they're building their empires on at the moment. So yeah, that's an actually interesting point. And Trump's been pretty hardcore when it comes to mineral stuff. Like why else does he want Greenland? Why else does he want deal with the Ukraine? It's not because he just loves diplomacy or he's just thinking about protecting America's strategic interests in the Western Hemisphere. It's also because of, the minerals that are required. And the Americas have plenty of the minerals required in South America, for instance. And if you have places like Australia too, that are somehow under that strategic umbrella, then yes, they'll be set up to make sure that they can rival the Chinese. But see, the other thing is, though, the Chinese, they actually still do all the world's manufacturing. So all of the lead-in inputs that go into all of the tech actually still get produced in China, and no one's really stepped up to the plate to fill in that void in the industrial supply chain yet. We'll see. Maybe another country will step in and fill the void there once the world splits between China and America and the AI arms race deepens more and more significantly. But I guess we shall see. Trump and Albo had their latest convo about minerals. Yeah, once Trump turns his gaze to Australia, like the Eye of Sauron, it will end with a minerals deal. That's very interesting. Yeah, actually, I didn't analyze, and I haven't actually read too much into that. But so that was the long and the short of it, was it, dilemmas? That Trump is, wanting the minerals in Australia. That's what they called about. Isn't it interesting, I think, how Albo played that one out? I actually think that's really interesting. because yeah, Albert held out for so long and people really criticizing him, but it seems like if he's got something that Trump wants, he's got a really good position because Trump is very hard to negotiate with. That's for sure. That's what all the world leaders were finding just a few months ago. Everyone was stressing, and Albo was just chilling, biding his time. As long as we give it to Trump unprocessed, that's interesting again because from my understanding, the world supply chains really do rely on China to do a lot of the processing of the minerals so they're ready to be consumed on the market. Because yes, it does take a lot to process these minerals and get them ready to be used. And a lot of countries just diverted to China because they subsidized entire industries to get all of that industrial processing, the processing of certain types of minerals onshore, and no one could compete with how cheap China was doing it because again it was subsidized by the state. And so everyone just gave up. All the other countries around the world, or most of the other countries around the world, just gave up there, unless in very specific and unique circumstances. They gave up a lot of their large-scale industrial processing of the minerals, so it all has to filter through China somehow, which is interesting. I made that up, but I know it's what economies want to value add rather than to value extract. No, but like it's not wrong. A lot of people like don't have the facility even to, and like I think Australia has been investigating trying to advance its industrial processing to be able to actually process the stuff here to be sold on the world market. It would be a great advantage to Australia's economy if they didn't just dig this stuff out of the ground and then give it to somebody else to process. We did the processing as well. That would make us ultra important on the global stage, strategically. That's all we do is export rocks and dirt. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but so like, you've heard there's been a lot of rhetoric from Albo's administration actually talking about trying to increase Australia's industrial capacity. And I think a bit of it has been around minerals processing, which is, again, if you want to make yourself valuable in the AI world, the future kind of, the new Cold War era. Yeah, that we take rocks and we bring in backpackers. Yeah. Mm. That's the fourth pillar of our economy, actually, Jag, is backpackers in hostels, foreign students, mineral exports, and agriculture. That's pretty much all we do. Yeah, and the backpackers just love going to the beach and fruit picking, and that feeds the agricultural sector a little bit. So, all that geopolitics aside, let's listen to how the techno-feudalists of the future kiss the ring of the current god emperor. Let's have a little listen, shall we? And let's have a little laugh. Let's see how cringe this is.
They're leading a revolution in business and in genius and in every other word I think you could imagine. There's never been anything like it. The most brilliant people are gathered around this table. This is definitely a high IQ group, and I'm very proud of them. I know all of them indirectly, and I know some of them very well, but I know everybody at the table indirectly through reading about you and studying, knowing a lot about your business, actually. We're making it very easy for you in terms of electric capacity and getting it for you, getting your permits. We're leading China by a lot, by a great amount. And I just wanted to, the press was going a little bit crazy because they saw this group together. So
it's hot. So hot right now. Oh my God, so hot. I love when he says hot. He's getting off somehow when he's saying it's hot. Because then he's just talking about how they're leading China. Because like all the rhetoric that you actually get out of any of the AI discussions in the industry, from industry experts, is like, hey, we have massively underestimated where China's at, and it's very likely that China's fully ahead of us. And when it comes to electricity, we were speaking about this the other day, like China is so far ahead of America when it comes to electricity because they've got so much capacity in their network to feed the voracious monster that is artificial intelligence. And China's way better set up in terms of grid capacity anyway than the US is. I don't know about where they are exactly technologically. Could argue about that for a while. I press X for doubt there, Trumpy. Yeah. I know, right? I'm not bought by that one. Anyway, this is what this is really about. He's already said it. It's like a minute in and he's already confirmed this meeting is a response to China. This is a very interesting point in world history. You can really see on display that he, or America right now, is really threatened by China. He's getting the people in. We got to get ahead in this AI race. Trump is an 80s business guy. Steve Castle from Futurama. Yes. That's why he says stuff like hot when he doesn't know what to say. It's so good. It's so hot. Where's the 80? I want to get that guy out, actually. It's so good. Is that what his name is? Steve Castle from Futurama. We're going to have a look at that one. But I thought we were friends.
This company's gonna shoot straight to the top and stay there, like Cyndi Lauper. I ask you, who is the #1 delivery service on Earth?
Is it Planet Express, Master?
Is this guy a shark or what?
Nah, that's not the one that I wanted. Yeah, maybe this one.
Let's cut to the chase. There are two kinds of people, sheep and sharks. Anyone who's a sheep is fired. Who's a sheep?
Excuse me, which is the one people like to hug?
Gutsy question. You're a shark. Sharks are winners, and they don't look back, because they don't have necks. Necks are for sheep. I am proud to be the shepherd of this herd of sharks, and I am gonna lead you to the top in this industry of package delivery. Package delivery? Oh, God. Fantastic! Now, the first order of business is to blame everything on the guy before me. Professor?
I'll ruin you like I ruined this company.
Terrific.
All right. I'm happy to be the shepherd of this group of sharks. Got to remember that quote. It's a good one. All right, back to it. This is the 80s guy. So this is Trump. This is what Trump embodies. The 80s guy. Then you see how quickly he turned from, oh God, to fantastic. That's Trump every time he says hot. It's hot. We're doing so hot right now, even though China's really, really threatening us. Bonitis, yes. I should have looked after my bonitis.
I thought we would let you have a little access, maybe describe some of the great things that you're doing with your company. I know, Mark, you're building some buildings that are as large as Manhattan. That was pretty good, right? It's pretty good. So I thought you'd say a few words so we could take a...
Is that true? Is that true? Like, honestly, that's outrageous. That is. I'm just listening to Trump talk to a bunch of tech CEOs at a dinner. And Trump has made the claim that Meta are building buildings that are the size of Manhattan. I'm assuming he's talking about data centers, but can you confirm the size of the construction that Meta is undertaking at the moment? That's a pretty fucking outrageous claim, that is. I don't think it's the full length of Manhattan, but a good portion of it. Bro, that's mental. That's absolutely mental. Like, we've watched some good old documentaries on these things. I know they're big, but like, god damn. Look at that. Footprint over Manhattan. Bro, I remember being like a tourist in Manhattan and being like, oh yeah, I'll just walk Central Park. I just thought it was a lot smaller than what it was, and I was like, I'll just do that in 10 minutes because I needed to get down the other side of it. It's huge. That place is huge. As if they are making a data center that big, a 2 gigawatt data center described as covering a significant part of Manhattan. Meta is building multi-gigawatt AI clusters, including Prometheus, which is roughly about 1 gigawatt, coming in 2026, and Hyperion, set up to 5 gigawatts. Whoa, that's mental. That's pretty crazy. How do they power these things? That's mental. Because like I'm pretty sure we were looking at like data centers that use like 1 gigawatt of power or something like that, which is equivalent to powering 750,000 homes. So like they're building 5 gigawatt data centers. Fuck me dead. This is crazy, man. Yo, when Mofo is talking about data centers, that is campuses. A large data center is like a warehouse. 60 to 80 MV is a big data center. Okay. Like this is huge though. These are massive. Massive. They're like, this is 5. I've never heard of that before. 5 gigawatts. Hyperion. That's crazy. So the campus is the entirety of the facility, not just the data center itself, not just the big box. Mental.
A couple of questions later, maybe. It's pretty good. So I thought you'd say a few words, so we could take a couple of questions later, maybe. Mark, would you like to say a few words about the company?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's. Sorry, should I turn this on?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for hosting us. I mean, this is quite a group to get together, and I think all of the companies here are making huge investments in the country in order to build out data centers and infrastructure to power the next wave of innovation. So it's we don't often get together as the CEOs of the different companies, but it's good to see everyone.
How much are you spending, would you say, over the next few years?
Oh gosh.
He's just not a public speaker, is he? He's just not a public speaker. He's meant to be sitting in an office somewhere writing code. That's what he should be doing. Like, it's good to see everyone. And thanks, Trump, for having us here. Can you actually answer the question, please, asshole?
I mean, I think it's probably going to be something like, I don't know, at least $600 billion through 28 in the U.S. Yeah.
It's a lot.
No, it's significant.
That's a lot. Thank you, Mark. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
Great to have you. David, you've done a wonderful job in working with the White House, a great expert. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor to work here at the White House and to work for you. You really care about this industry and all Americans, and I think you've done a tremendous amount already to unleash
So much licking,
our
bro.
innovators and also help build out the infrastructure of the country. And it's doing a lot, not just for tech companies, but for ordinary working Americans, the construction industry, the trades, electricians, carpenters. There's a boom happening right now in AI because of what President Trump has done in terms of stimulating investment. It's going to benefit all Americans. So it's really a thrill to be part of. And this is a really incredible group that you've assembled here. And it's like I said, it's just a great honor to have a foot in each one of these worlds and being part of it. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And Sergey, you were saying a lot in the Oval Office. I figured just somebody that likes to speak with his really wonderful MAGA girlfriend. So would you like to say a few words?
Well,
please?
baby, do you want to say something?
I truly, every time I'm here or in your presence, I'm so grateful. So thank you. It's like,
Thank
I
you.
can't believe it every time, like the inauguration here. I think you're doing amazing.
What is
work.
going on?
Thank you very much.
We actually were just with Leonardo?
Leopold.
Leopold.
Should I mention?
He's
Yeah,
one- sorry,
he's
I
in
wanted to
Venezuela.
Right.
And
One
you're
of the
applying a
leaders
lot
of
of
the
pressure to Maduro. And I think that's phenomenal for an American president to actually be applying pressure there in Venezuela and then hopefully in Cuba and so forth. So there's a lot of civil rights work that you're leading. We didn't get a chance to mention. I also just wanted to mention, we don't have to get into all the details we talked about in the Oval Office, but I think it's a real incredible inflection point right now in AI, and the fact that your administration is supporting our companies instead of fighting with them. It's hugely important. Obviously, it's a global race, and I think we're at the cusp where these AI models are about to become profoundly useful, kind of beyond the, okay, wow, it's cool, can do that, but actually day-to-day incredible utility, incredible productivity. So very grateful for your administration support.
Well, you had a very good
Who is this guy that he's speaking to? So cringe, man. I can't listen to all this sycophancy. Zuck asked Trump on Hot Mic if he gave the right answer or not. Bullshit. Bullshit he did. Google. Yeah, Sergey. Oh, Sergey's from Google. Oh, is he one of the original founders of Google, is he? And who's his MAGA girlfriend? What's that about? Yeah, right. Interesting. Fuck. Imagine being a fucking founder of Google. Jesus Christ. My God. All right, yeah. Okay, back to the cringe, Howie. Play the second Hot Mic moment now. What's the second Hot Mic moment? This is current, like yesterday or something. Yeah, this happened. Like, yeah, Saturday, our time. This number was apparently total BS. There was a clip of him saying, I don't know what number you wanted to go with. Oh, the $600 billion worth of investment. Isn't that funny? Just give me a figure so I can tell my base how everything's going.
day yesterday. Google had a very good day yesterday, and you want to talk about that big day you had
Okay, so like if you're worried, if you want to talk about this, huh, little Google CEO, you want to talk about it? Google just got off the hook massively when it came to their antitrust case that has been going and being prosecuted by the FTC at the moment. Like look at Bill Gates's face. It's like, oh fuck, this is even hard for me to sit through. Yeah, so Google just got out of jail free. They just got let off. One of the recommendations that was coming out of their antitrust case, because they've got a couple that are going at the moment, but one of the findings was that like their operation is too big, and like it covers too many factors, and so like they were speaking about like potentially splitting up elements of Google's business into separate companies, and one of them was the Chrome browser, and they were trying to figure out whether or not to actually force Google to sell that off to somebody else. Gates is finger banging Melania. Yeah, she kind of looks like she's enjoying it. I can't believe that got through, but you're on Twitch, so I guess it doesn't get censored over there. That's fucking hilarious. I can't stop thinking about that now. Oh my God. But yeah, they just got off like really, really easily because people were putting the pressure on, or anyway, the Department of Justice were putting the pressure on massively to try and get the Chrome browser separated from their massive business model. But they got out of jail free. They got off with it. So that's what Trump's referencing there, I think. Meta would invest $600 billion. Hot mic moment. Zuckerberg's blunt investment apology to Trump goes viral. Is this the one? All right, let's have a quick look at this then. But didn't Europe hit them with a huge fine? Yeah, well, they obviously don't care about European fines, I guess. They just don't want their business operations to be restricted, especially in the motherland, right?
How much are you spending, would you say, over the next few years?
Oh gosh. I mean, I think it's probably going to be something like, I don't know, at least $600 billion through 28 in the U.S. Yeah.
It's a lot.
No, it's significant.
Sorry, I wasn't right now. He said I wasn't sure where you wanted to go. He said.
I wasn't sure what you wanted me to go with. That's fucking hilarious. Did I do okay, boss? Yeah, Zuckies, you dickhead. That's hilarious. Thank you. I was wondering what you were referencing there, Squeeb. I've seen a few things come up in my face as like hot mic blunder from this dinner. Avalava's in the house. How you going? Yo, give up that kissing the ring fam. Bruh, that speaker is so keen on Venezuelan regime change. They must really need some oil. And yeah, it's Sergey. Okay, fair enough. From some references on the material difference between the US and China. Ooh, for some reference. Here we go. Let's have a look at where we are at in the arms race. And this comes from none other than the research assistant. Electricity and power. China total generation 2024 generated over 10,000 terawatt hours. Demand growth. China's electricity demand grew 7% in 2014, accounting for more than half of the entire world's growth in electricity demand. Jesus. Generation sources, fossil fuels, 63%. Wind and solar generation reached record of 18%. That's pretty crazy. 1,800 of their terawatt hours come from solar and wind. Isn't that mental? Because like Squeeb, you were saying the other day that they're still like ramping up the creation of new coal-fired power stations. Generation sources Q1, quarter 1, 2025. Electricity from wind and solar surpassed 536 terawatt hours, making 22.5%. That's mental. Non-fossil fuels represented 56% of China's total installed electricity generation capacity. China added 356 gigawatts of non-hydro renewable generation capacity in 2024 alone. The total energy 2025 for the United States. The US had a total energy production of 127.006 and consumption of 163.421. And I'm assuming these units are in terawatts as well. Energy exports in 2024, the United States exported 30% of the energy that it produced. Interesting. I'm assuming this is in terawatts, this, so we can match it. So it's 120. Let's just say it is terawatts. 127 terawatts in energy production so far in 2025, compared to what the Chinese have done in the first quarter, which is 536 terawatt hours. That's a big difference, man. That's crazy. Look at the high I'm trying to remember the number. Look at him, trying to remember the number. That was pre-agreed. I feel like he keeps Zuck close because he's the most impressionable of these turds. He definitely seems like it. It's hilarious. Yeah. He is impressionable. He can be told what to do. Did I do okay, boss? I just realized so many of the US stats are obscured. It's a bit strange. Yeah. Because like there's always the accusation that China does all the obscuring, right? That's the big thing.
Yesterday?
Come on.
About that big day you had yesterday?
Tell us about your antitrust win.
Don't forget, Biden was the one that prosecuted that lawsuit. You know that, right?
Look, it's a long process. I appreciate that your administration had a constructive dialogue, and we were able to get it to some of resolution. I would echo what Sergey said. I think the AI moment is one of the most transformative moments any of us have ever seen or will see in our lifetimes. So making sure the U.S. is at the forefront, and I think your administration is investing a lot. Already the AI action plan under your leadership, I think, is a great start, and we look forward to working together, and thanks for your leadership.
Great job you're doing. Incredible, really, job. Lisa, how about you?
Well, Mr. President, it's such an honor to be here, and the incredible work that your administration has done to support the semiconductor industry. We're building the brains behind all of the wonderful AI that's being built here. And I think the amount of acceleration that we've seen just in the few short months that the administration has been in place is really, we're so grateful for that support. And we had a wonderful
Who's Lisa?
event this afternoon with
Anyone?
the First Lady's support of the AI education plan. So I think the main message is we are all in to make sure that America wins the AI race, and it's an honor to be here.
Thank you very much. Great job you're doing, too. Amazing job, what you've done in a short period of time. Really amazing. And I see somebody down there, Bill, from Microsoft that has done a pretty good job, too. I'll tell you what, I had that stock, it was 28, and now it's about 500 and something. I don't know. It's, what a job you've done. Would you say a few words about your company?
Absolutely, Mr. President. Thank you so much, obviously, for bringing us all together and the policies that you have put in place for the United States to lead. And one of the things that I think has made this industry unique is not only the innovation, but it's the market access that you have obviously championed for us all over the world, and also the trust the world has on American technology. I think that everything that you're doing in terms of setting in place the platform where the rest of the world can not only use our technology, but trust our technology more than any other alternative is perhaps the most important issue. And you and your policies are really helping a lot. So thank you very much. And also I wanted to thank Madam First Lady for hosting what I think is perhaps the most defining issue, which is about skilling and economic opportunity that comes with AI. And so I deeply appreciate you.
It's all you, Trumpy boy. You've made this all possible. None of these wheels were spinning, or these plates were spinning before, eh? She is related to Jensen Huang from AMD. Okay. Damn, you guys are across the tech world. My God.
Your leadership there as well.
Thank you. Really, and a really amazing job you've done. Thank you. Bill, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Well, I'm in the second phase of my career, giving away all the wonderful money that Satya's good work has helped multiply a lot. But I think the thing that ties my first career that I still spend some time on because AI is so phenomenal, and my second career is innovation, innovating in health in areas like vaccines or gene editing, and the President and I are talking about taking American innovation to the next level to cure and even eradicate some of these diseases. He mentioned polio, which is one that we're close. We don't need new science on that one. For some like HIV and sickle cell, we do need new science, but the U.S. Has the seeds that in the same way that Warp Speed took those seeds and put them together, I think something fantastic can be done. AI for our foundation is that we want a doctor for everyone in Africa through AI. We want farmers to have incredible advice and, kids to have a chance to learn. So the work being done by the people at this table is changing the world. It's, coming fast, so it's great. We all get together and talk about how the U.S. can lead in this key area and apply it even to the poorest outside the U.S. as well as to our great citizens. So thank you for incredible leadership, including getting this group together.
Thank you, Bill. That was very nice.
I was wondering, I was like, is Bill going to do it? Is he going to kiss the ring? Because he went through and just talked about all of his achievements, which weren't particularly AI related, right? Vaccines. What? I thought that was anti-MAGA. This is just a weird rich guy circle jerk. Doctors for Africa. Such a radical for this table. But the other thing is he just has one of those, I don't know if it's just him over time or just him even presenting right there, but he just has such an untrustworthy vibe to him. Like, can you really take that man seriously? Like, honestly, like, what's he really up to when he says that he wants to, he's just on the cusp of coming up with a cure for polio, or he wants to have a doctor for everyone in Africa? Like, again, what are you really up to, old Gates? Hey, why not start with for a doctor for everyone in America? Like, there is big problems there. What's really going on? Like, what's he really up to? He's talking about his second phase of his career. Hey, he's just going to give all of his money away. Come on, bro. What's he going on? No one at this table can be trusted. Yeah, I guess. But like the talk is all, betterment of the human race, philanthropy, all of this usual kind of rhetoric, where it is circle jerk stuff, but like a lot of it is, we're on the cutting edge here and we are going to improve the human race. What is wrong with people? Like, why haven't they invested in us more often? And like, thank God for Trump's leadership, eh? None of this was actually in the pipeline until January 2025, until Trump started signing into effect all of these amazing new laws and regulations to allow the tech bros to basically do whatever they want. Gates is good. All right. You'll have to expand a little bit more on that one. Good in which sense? In what sense? I would like to know. I wonder what his interest then in AI is. All of his health pursuits. During his life, he can live larger, but his legacy is to give back. Yeah, that's exactly what he talks about all the time. His legacy through his foundation or foundations and his philanthropic work. But like, again, what's he really up to? Trump will save the world for a low fee. The Gates Foundation, again, as well. Instead of paying the right tax, instead of allowing his massive private interests to be socialized or for there to be more of an input from his workers, he goes and takes his money, as he said, and he decides what is an adequate cause. And he decides whatever pet project he wants to be all philanthropic about, as opposed to, using the great benefit that he's gotten largely from the American economy and reinvesting that back into the American people. He gets to decide what pet project is going to give him, an actual legacy where he will be remembered for all time as like, someone who helped, I don't know, cure polio or something like that. So he can go down in the history books and live forever. And I don't trust that type of agenda. Set up your structures, your enterprises, pay all the taxes that you should be paying, and society will do better as a result of that. Everybody will get a larger slice of the pie. I'm not convinced by the whole philanthropy thing, and I think it's just another way to probably dodge tax as well. Hey, that's just my skeptic. I'm with you, Mr. Fuck Gates. All right, Mr. He should create a subcommittee for giving back. He should ask Trump, the president. No, I'm not saying that either. I just don't know, man. Like allowing like mega rich people to decide whatever pet project they think is going to give them basically some type of legacy forever and control the conversation on those issues. But like, so they can go down in the history books as righting some wrong of the human race. I don't know, man. I don't know. Look at the Wayne Foundation. Look what the Wayne Foundation did for Gotham. Yeah, that's an actually interesting analogy, isn't it? Yeah, because everybody loves the Waynes so much. They have no one that decries their abilities and their philanthropy. You are putting blame on Rich for being rich? Are we saying that Gates is Batman now? Go back to blaming the system. Yeah, fair enough. I'll just blame the system then. You're right. I shouldn't blame Gates for being part of the system that has created the conditions that have allowed him to be a philanthropist. That's a good fucking point, Sebastian. I'll take that.
Tim Cook, you've done an incredible job with Apple, little company called Apple.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Very few people have been able to do what you've done. Congratulations. Please.
Thank you, sir. That means a lot to me. I want to thank you for including me this evening. It's incredible to be among everyone here, particularly you and the First Lady. I've always enjoyed having dinner and interacting. I want to thank you for setting the tone such that we could make a major investment in the United States and have some key manufacturing, advanced manufacturing here. I think that says a lot about your focus and your leadership and your focus on innovation. I also want to thank you for helping American companies around the world. This is a very key thing, and I really enjoy working with your administration on those topics as well, because I think they're so important to the country. I want to thank the First Lady for focusing on education. There's nothing more important than education. It is the great equalizer and always will be. And so thank you so much for including me. We are all different in some ways, but we all believe in the power of technology to improve people's lives, and that is the thing that binds us all together.
And Tim, how much money will Apple be investing in the United States? Because I know it's a very lot, and it's, you know, you were elsewhere, and now you're really coming home in a big way. How much money will you be investing?
$600 billion.
$600 billion, all right? It's a lot of jobs.
We're very proud to do it.
Hey, gotta match Meta. Someone said 600 billion before, right? Right? Blame the system, but let's not pretend these people don't know it is that very system that allows them to be here and trying to keep it intact. They definitely fight for the reproduction of the system, that's for sure. Interesting, the tech companies aren't as focused on America first. We took from blah for America. They all have to walk a line of actually dealing with foreign countries. Yeah, and that's what all the rhetoric is when it comes to Apple and, you know, coming back to America, the grand homecoming of Apple. Apparently Apple have tried to return lots of their business operations to America a number of times and failed. And a large problem with Apple, what's the word? Is it repatriatizing? Let's just go with that. It's like reintegrating with the American supply chain and system, is that when it comes to the way that they've been set up in China, China actually has like the middle level experts and managers of the various kind of important factories and industrial inputs of the Apple supply chain system. They have the technical knowledge and the technical supply chain understanding that American technicians don't have, or like the Americans have it, but like a very, very small number compared to actually how many is required to produce Apple products at the scale that Apple have been producing it over in China. That region of the world. And so a big reason they haven't also been able to come over is not just because, you know, they don't want to make America great again, but the expertise is not there to help out their industrial operations. I thought that was absolutely fascinating. That, like, because of the way that everyone has invested so heavily in China being the factory of the world, people have actually lost a lot of skills, and they don't have the capacity in their workforces to just make America great again or something like that, just like overnight. It would take a huge upskilling in the workforce and a huge conceded effort by like governments and stuff like that to actually just train up their populations to be able to take this stuff on. Like the interesting thing when it comes to, you know, someone like Apple returning to American shores, or like, you know, getting certain industrial processes to come back home. And they're like, oh, you know, $600 billion of investment. That's $600 billion of capital intensive investment, like high tech industry coming back to the home soil. That doesn't mean $600 billion is going to be, you know, handed over to workers through like, you know, employing huge swathes of the American workforce that require it. This is capital intensive machinery and industrial production here. They're going to be, if they're going to come back here, they're not going to be looking to hire American workers, when they can get cheaper labor somewhere else, they'll be looking to shore up the productivity and increase in technologies that can automate processes as much as possible. So you just have the experts in. They're just like kind of managing the factory processes as opposed to having scores and scores of workers. Up front, there'll be a lot of, people involved in, I guess, construction. But apart from that, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's really going to be a massive boost to the workforce anyway in America. The big call. Apple can't exist without China. Wasn't it 4 times the cost per iPhone to bring it back to the US? There you go. That's crazy, isn't it? Tim Cook says 600 billion. Trump says a lot of jobs. I don't think money invested equals more jobs, Mr. President, but you already know that. Yes, thank you. That's exactly right. That's what I'm thinking too, Dilemmas. Just think of the sheer amount of tax that is dodged at this table alone. Dilemmas, big number is all he heard. Tax imports over profits. Trump looks out for money first. Want to buy a MAGA hat, he sells them. Want to have a what's that? A T? I don't know what that's autocorrect is there. Sure, but membership at his golf course. They'll get their slave labor from the detention centers to do all the manual labor. Yeah, could you imagine if they started doing that? Like they start rounding up all of these, I don't know, all the ICE agents out there rounding up illegal immigrants. They put them in concentration camps and then start like getting them to work. Like that would be some crazy shit. That like would be like as close to fascism, like, as you can get without literally just coming out and calling yourselves a fascist dictatorship or a fascist government. Because like that's what basically all the Nazis were doing with their concentration camps. There's a lot of forced labor and stuff going on to fill in the gaps in the economy that weren't really working for them. That'd be crazy, man. That's a scary. We'll have to check in about 6 months' time to see if that little premonition comes true there. But yeah, I don't know. Just because Apple brings some of their operations back on home soil, I don't know if that means good things for the workforce or not. We'll see. I guess we'll see. Taking us back to the 1880s. Yeah. Scary stuff. Scary stuff, man. Did you see the South Park, depiction of all of this when Tim Cook comes to meet Trump at the White House or whatever to give him a gift and kiss the ring? They nailed it.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Sam, you're a big leader of a very new industry at a very young age. You're a young guy. Do you want to tell us about what you're doing? You told me things before that are absolutely unbelievable. So what are you doing?
First of all, to echo the comments of Tim and others, thank you so much for getting us all together, and thank you for being such a pro-business, pro-innovation president. It's a very refreshing change. We're very excited to see what you're doing to make all of our companies and our entire country so successful. The investment that's happening here, the ability to get the power in the industry back in the United States, I think this will set us up for a long period of great success leading the world, and I don't think that would be happening now without your leadership. We're very grateful to be able to build our company here, to build data centers here, to build the entire AI industry and lead the world in the United States. Echoing many other people's comments, I think this will transform the world in a profound way, and I think it really will be to the United States' advantage to be able to lead the world this way.
Can't hear him. Seriously.
The event that the First Lady hosted today about education was really wonderful, and watching what
Is this the crypto scammer guy? Yeah, Sam Altman.
So thank you so much for enabling this. We will invest a ton in the United States, and we will do our best to make sure that we continue to lead here.
That's right. Thank you. Hundreds of billions of dollars, and it's going to be well worth it. And you have an unlimited market, right?
It seems like it.
Come to think of it, how much is Google investing?
We are well north of $100 billion. In the next 2 years, it's $250 billion.
That's great.
I think he said $250 billion, but he doesn't have the mic on. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, good. What about Microsoft? That's a big number.
Each year, we are close to, in the United States, around $75 to $80 billion.
Very good. Thank you very much. Would anybody like to say anything? You have a lot of geniuses on my right, some young, some not so young. Mostly young, come to think of it. Yes, please.
I just wanted to echo everyone's comments. I think we've been just very impressed with how this administration has really embraced AI. And I think that in addition to the infrastructure, the most massive infrastructure built in history, I mean, we're talking 10x the size of the Apollo program. I think also, to me, the most important thing is what AI will do for all of us. And I think that there's been a choice of whether to approach it.
I can't stand how these guys can't just say 10 times. It's always 10x this, 10x that. Seriously, just say it. So many big numbers. That's what it is. There's so much dick measuring going on at the moment. And there's been a lot of stuff coming out in response to what China did last week when we were looking at their little military parade. And I think this has a lot to do with it, I must say. Right? Mr. President, have you considered a monorail? Yeah, it does seem like they're trying to really sell, some silver bullet style of infrastructure that's going to save the economy. It's going to save everything out there. Did you know that if Trump just invested his starting money in index funds rather than going into business, he would be 8 to 10 times richer than he currently is? That's crazy. Sorry, I should have said 8 to 10x richer than he currently is. Whoa. Eh, nah, but look at him. He wouldn't have been as famous. He wouldn't have been able to lead the free world if he had done that.
With optimism, and I think that that's what I've really seen from this administration. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Great job you're doing. Incredible job.
We're going to see 10x this stream with some deep 10x level Marxist analysis, yo. 10x. 10x.
You're doing. I know every inch that you're building, and I can't believe it. They're big. The biggest buildings ever. We talked about 100-story buildings. These buildings blow them away, right? So I just want to, they're more lateral than they are up and down, but they blow everything away. So congratulations. Would anybody like to say anything, please? Satya? Would you like to go? Safra?
This is a most incredible time. AI is going to change everything. You hear all of us saying that. But the fact that you are our president and you recognize this right away and you've unleashed American innovation and creativity, all the work you're doing in basically every cabinet post, in addition to what's coming out of the White House, is making it possible for America to win. Today's event that was
America win. This is really, we got to really analyze exactly what is happening on the surface here, I think. And you can put all the spin on this that you want. They want to win, baby. This is life and death. AI is set to potentially be the tech that rules the future. Like steam power allowed some of the late colonialists to trample all over the old powers of the old world, and new industrial capacity allowed them to basically finish off old and dying empires. AI is just going to be the defining point between who wins, the cyber wars that are coming, and who has the most sophisticated weaponry and missiles, I guess. It's all going to be backed by which AI systems are better. But I think the cyber warfare is going to be huge. And they're talking about, you've been so wonderful, Mr. President, and you've done so much for innovation. This isn't about innovation at all. This is about, you've got across the Pacific, you've got an economic model, which I describe as state capitalism, where they are planning the economy and they're directing their resources. They control their own central bank, and so they can print whatever money and throw it behind and finance whatever the hell they want. And they can direct their free enterprise through tight regulations and controls. And they have their own state-owned enterprise organizations that are managing the race on their side. And so, like, what you have actually is an acknowledgement, and, like, you know, credit where credit's due for Trump. I don't think this has come from him directly. I think he's got a lot of advisors that, like, tell him what to do when it comes to tech. But, like, credit where credit's due. She's right. He's hit the ground running since his presidency started. One of the first announcements he made on day one was it was Stargate. I'm pretty sure it was called Stargate program, which was, you know, $500 billion of investment over the next few years into AI technologies, and then another further $500 billion, you know, in 4 years' time or something like that. Like, he's fully, yes, embracing the capital investment required to make sure America stays competitive in the AI arms race. For the most part, the tech sector, Silicon Valley, has been able to do whatever it wants in true neoliberal free market economy style, because they were light years ahead of the Chinese anyway. They had that race completely under wraps. But the gap has closed, and now they need more than just all of these douchebags just looking after their own corporate interests. They need way more planning and, like, direction. And so they're all, like, saying, oh, wow, isn't it really nice that you have this foresight, Trump? It's got nothing to do with that. It's just all of these pricks, all of these individualists here don't have the ability to coordinate amongst themselves at all. And so, yes, Mr. President over here's got them in a room and is saying, how much money are you going to be spending in the US? Because we've got to win this race for your survival. You guys don't survive if China wins this race, okay? We don't survive. You don't survive. So, like, can you commit something here, please, so we can all be rowing at least in the same direction? We don't actually have to be holding hands and, you know, sharing insider or trade knowledge. We should all be rowing in the same direction. And this is the US reaction or response to planned economics that's going on in China, which has been kicking goals recently and has been stealing information for long enough, commercial espionage, and they've closed the gap. And so they need a coordinated effort on this one. Again, I'm not going to go as far as say there's any type of planning going on here. This is not planned economics, but at least some type of coordination in this industry. And that's all this is like, look, we need a lot of money to make this work. How much can we get in this room right now? That's why he keeps asking about the money. He's not asking about what projects you're doing. He doesn't give a shit about the innovation. He's not saying, like, you know, tell me something amazing that AI has just done that has blown you off your feet. And, like, you've got some incredible people in this room that could tell you some amazing stories about how to apply AI in real life. And he's not asking that. He's just saying, like, how many billions of dollars are you bringing to the table? Tell me now. I need to know. Or, Mr. E, is it how many people made money out of selling houses to unemployed people? And growth at any cost has a cost. What you're describing could also be Russia. State and semi-state directives doesn't alone build an economy. Not driving it isn't a problem. Remember, you can make money on the way down. Look at the private equity. Look at the corporate takeovers, modern day big tech ownership. I don't think these people are going to make money if China wins, though. Like, honestly, yeah, most people can make money in a downturn, a financial crisis. Actually, most people look for the chaos of those situations. But, like, their underlying assumption in those, you know, way down approaches is that the economy is still going to be there. The US will still be number one. Everyone will be trading in US dollars, and, like, they'll be able to continue their business practices in a globalized environment. But if China takes over from the US in some shape, it's completely uncharted territory. And it's not like, yes, it's just a general financial crisis or something like that. This is a systematic shift in the way that global economics is done altogether. Just look at how American innovation supplied the entire Taliban after the US withdrew. Yeah, crazy. Especially after they actually supplied the Taliban first as well, like to stick it to the Soviets, right? And that became a problem. Anyway, let's let them finish.
Spearheaded by our wonderful First Lady, focusing on education, is the center of where we need to go, because it is all of these young people who can't be afraid of new technologies. They literally have to embrace it and make America even stronger. And that focus was very, very critical. And I think this is the most exciting time in America ever, at least that I remember. So thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate saying hello to everybody, Larry and everybody else. It's an amazing company that you're involved with and running. I just want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank the media. They've been very nice lately, although I'm still here. So we have to. They made a couple of bad predictions. That was not good. I've never had that feeling.
Very good question. I think that was a reference to his death rumors just then. But yeah, why wasn't Muskie Boy there? They've got everyone. Hey, they got all the tech bros there. No Muskie Boy. You know what? Actually, they don't have Bezos there. I wonder why Bezos wasn't there. Shall we ask the research assistant, actually? Why wasn't Bezos or Musk present? At this tech CEO dinner. Now I know why you watch from Twitch. Bezos was too busy banging his plastic doll. And he got it on Temu as well, that plastic doll. Not even an Amazon purchase. Elon Musk invitation declined amid fallout with Trump. Multiple outlets confirm Elon Musk was invited to the dinner but opted not to attend in person, instead sending a representative. Economic Times is a source. AP News is a source. The absence stems from the public falling out earlier this year between Musk and Trump. Interesting. Jeff Bezos not invited. Reporting indicates that Jeff Bezos was not included in the official guest list at the dinner. That's interesting. Though Bezos has met with Trump informally in the past and even contributed to his inauguration fund. Yes, he was front and center at the fucking inauguration. That's weird that he wasn't at this one. I must admit, it's very weird. His relationship with Trump remains complex and sometimes contentious, particularly due to the criticisms Trump made of Amazon and the Washington Post. Hey, interesting. Summary, Bezos was just simply not invited. Fair enough. It takes all sorts, right?
Before, I went to an event and people are coming up to me and saying, "You're still here." I said, "What do they mean by that? I didn't hear about this." But anyway, I do. The press has been great in terms of this industry, and they understand the importance of it. This is taking our country to a new level. We're leading the world. We're leading China, but we're leading the world by a lot, and we're leading it because of the people around the table. And all I can do is implement and make it a lot easier for you, and I'll be doing that 100%. So I just want to thank you all. Yes, did you have a question? Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow we have a jobs report coming out, the first since the BLS commissioner who you fired won't be there. A lot of people will be turning to you to see if you believe the data that's released. Can you commit to saying the data will be credible?
The number, I don't know, they come out tomorrow, but the real numbers that I'm talking about are going to be whatever it is, but will be in a year from now when these monstrous, huge, beautiful places, they're palaces of genius. And when they start opening up, you're seeing, I think you'll see job numbers that are going to be absolutely incredible. Right now.
So this is interesting. So the Department of Labor, so they come up with stats and reports, and if you've heard, I don't know, over the last few months there's been a lot of drama as Trump has fired people for not giving out reports that are conducive to a good jobs health and growth. in the economy. So he completely evaded the question just then. Like, if this report comes out and doesn't show good jobs growth, he's like, don't worry, these big buildings that are coming, these big data centers that employ basically no one, really, apart from technicians that go in there and just make sure that they're all running. But like these massive, massive complexes that are sizable in terms of their relation to the entirety of the island of Manhattan, eh? They will employ a handful of people. There'll be people, like I said, technicians that go in there and work on them and do some maintenance, and there'll be like some gardeners. And that's pretty much it. So like there'll be a lot of people in the construction, but that disappears as soon as the construction's over. So it's an important economic consideration to make.
Now it's a lot of construction numbers, but you're going to see job numbers like our country has never seen before. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two questions for you. First, after your phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky today, do you plan to speak with Russia's President Putin in the near future?
What?
If you will speak with President Putin in the near future.
I will be, yeah, I will be. We're having a very good dialogue. I settled 7 wars. The one that I thought would be maybe one of the easiest, you know that feeling? You think one thing is going to be easier, turns out to be a little bit tougher. But the one that I thought would be an easier one because of my relationship with President Putin and with Ukraine and everything else, I thought it would be the Russia-Ukraine disaster, where this week 7,014 people were killed, soldiers, in most cases soldiers, a few from Kiev, relatively few, but mostly soldiers, and they're being killed at levels that we haven't seen since World War II. And they're not American. They're not from any of the countries that some of you are from, but they're people, they're souls, and we'll get it done. But that's turned out to be the most difficult of the group. And I settled 3 wars. One was 31 years.
I thought it was 6. 7? I want a list. Yeah, I know, right? What the hell? Where'd this one come from? They'll employ people like Jerry Poppins. Yeah. Yeah. He'll be up front in the construction, but then they'll get rid of him. He's not doing the maintenance, that's for sure. Yeah, I want a list. I want a running total. Trump has made the claim that he has settled 7 wars now, and we were under the impression that it was not at that number. Can you confirm what conflicts he is referring to exactly? So what do we reckon? We had India, Pakistan, we had something in the Congo, we had Azerbaijan, and who were they fighting with? The Armenians? Who else is he taking credit for? Who else is he taking credit for? Iran and Israel, I think he took credit for that. I wonder who all these people are. Yeah, India and Pakistan, we got that. Armenia and Azerbaijan, yeah. Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda. Oh, Cambodia and Thailand. Serbia and Kosovo. Okay. Egypt and Ethiopia. Oh, there's your 7. There it is. Some African ones. I don't know, man. Egypt, Ethiopia, or something like that. The Nile Dam dispute. These are the 7 running ones. Verification. India disputes. India disputes this. Yes, they do. That's why they got hit up with tariffs, because India said that Trump didn't actually do anything. Israel and Iran, it's very questionable, isn't it? Like temporary pause, underlying conflict unresolved. Armenia and Azerbaijan, formal treaty pending, long-term peace stability unclear. So good. Democratic Republic in the Congo and Rwanda, rebel groups not included, fighting continues. Cambodia, Thailand, truce fragile, multilateral mediation involved. Serbia, Kosovo, war averted, deal brokered. Serbia denies threat, prior negotiations from first term. Egypt, Ethiopia, dam dispute resolved. dispute ongoing, not formally a war. It was just an altercation over the dams. So from what I understand, Ethiopia is upstream, sorry. And like everything flows from there down to Egypt. And so like whatever activities they do upstream does really massively affect Egypt and its agricultural prospects. I don't know, man. From 6 to 7, even 10 wars remains fluid and evasive. That's hilarious. I love that rhetoric. Damn. All right then. 7 deadly sins. Meanwhile, deploying troops to American cities changes Department of Defense to Department of War, dismantle the White House peace vigil, and putting people into concentration camps, and sending off part of the Navy to directly challenge Venezuela in their waters, and threatening to send in the troops into Mexico to deal with the cartels. Like, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there that you could add to the list, right? In terms of the great peacemaker allowing Israel to commit war crimes and genocide. Yeah, definitely not pulling them up on it, that's for sure. No fucks given in that regard. All right. I don't think they're going to actually talk about AI. I thought these people would ask questions about the fact that they've got like the richest, some of the most powerful CEOs in the world sitting around this fucking table at the moment. They're talking about other stuff.
Going. A lot of people killed, 10 million people. Another was 34, and another was 37 years it was going on. And people said you can't settle them, and I settled them. This one turned out to be more difficult, but we'll get it. We're going to get it settled.
Mr. President, Senator Bill Cassidy said effectively we're denying people vaccines. Do you have full confidence in what RFK Jr. is doing?
Well, I didn't get to watch the hearings today, but he's a very good person. And he means very well, and he's got some little different ideas. I guarantee a lot of the people at this table like RFK Jr., and I do. But he's got a different take, and we want to listen to all of those takes. But I heard he did very well today. But it's not your standard. It's not your standard talk, I would say, and that has to do with medical and vaccines. But if you look at what's going on in the world with health, and look at this country also with regard to health, I like the fact that he's different. Okay.
Can you give us your latest thinking on semiconductor tariffs, sir, which you're considering imposing? And have you discussed that with any of the leaders?
Yeah, I have. I've discussed it with the people here, chips and semiconductors, and we'll be putting tariffs on companies that aren't coming in. We'll be putting a tariff very shortly. You probably are hearing we'll be putting a fairly substantial tariff on, not that high, but fairly substantial tariff, with the understanding that if they come into the country, if they're coming in, planning to come in, there will not be a tariff.
So investment.
If they're not coming in, there's a tariff, fairly substantial tariff. Well, I don't know if they're building here, and for the most part, I think they're building here. That's probably why they're here for them. But like I would say, Tim Cook would be in pretty good shape. No, please, the back.
Are you urging or encouraging any candidates in the New York City mayor's race to drop out, declare the field?
No, I don't like to see a communist become mayor, I will tell you that. And I don't think you can win unless you have one-on-one, because somehow he's gotten a little bit of a lead.
Oh, my God. I can't do all the other general stuff. I really want to know about this AI stuff. Now, is it true that America, the US, has recently lifted restrictions on the sale of high-end microchips to China? Because I heard this somewhere recently. Because like for a long time they were trying to constrict China's capacity to do this. Insult to communism to call Zionists Zoran a communist. Very interesting. Very interesting. You're largely correct. The US has not broadly lifted restrictions on high-end microchips to China. In fact, it's tightened export controls, the only narrow exception involving chip design software. So advanced chips and equipment restrictions remain or even tighten. TSMC, Samsung, SK, Hynix. The US has revoked validated end-user fast-track export privileges for chip-making tools. Okay, so they haven't. NVIDIA and AMD AI chips condition reversal. H20 and M1308 AI chips. The US has reversed its ban on NVIDIA's H20 and AMD's M1308 AI chips for export to China. However, this reopening comes with a catch. Chip makers must pay 15% of their revenue from the China-bound sales back to the US government as part of a new licensing condition. Interesting. Okay. Because that's a huge one. Because for a long time, well, obviously they've been trying to contain China's ability, but they're opening it up to the market. I've always wanted to understand the logic there. It's an interesting one. How is America going to stop it when they don't even make them? I don't know. That's a good question, actually. Let's be honest. But they put restriction on American companies anyway. They're really trying to constrain Chinese capability largely. Especially given like the Chinese capability for stealing trade secrets and replicating technologies. They really don't want them getting access to stuff. Most hardware-related exports remain heavily restricted. Only specific software tools no longer require export licenses. AI chips have limited reopening, but under new conditional revenue sharing arrangements. So like they can do it with some of their products, but like the American government, like, yeah, they want their cut. It's interesting. ASML is really the key company in all high-tech chip manufacturing, and they are Dutch, yeah. Yeah, but I don't know where they do all of their manufacturing. If they do it all in Amsterdam, not Amsterdam, or if they do it all in Europe, or if their entire supply chain ends there. But yeah, they have, I guess, the most high-tech processing ability for the most high end of the chips. They sell the machinery to companies in Asia. Right. Okay. Interesting. And like, yeah, it's like the top end stuff we're talking about here. Like stuff on, down to below, 5 or more nanometers in terms of the precision that they're getting on the chips that they're producing. So like, that's it. That's like the cutting edge stuff. And like, who knows? Maybe the Chinese have figured out their own ways. They're the only company that can make those chips. Okay. And we're talking about the same ones, right? The ones that are under 5 nanometers or smaller than that even. And like, I don't even know if they can meet the demands and the capacity, because the supply chains, from what I understand, is the supply chains for that, like to actually produce chips that have that level of absolute detail in them. And the type of laser cutting that they do to do that, it's the supply chains anyway that go into that production line are there's just thousands and thousands of inputs from hundreds, if not thousands of companies. And so in a deglobalized world where China isn't producing stuff and the Americans aren't helping, coordinate the supply chains, and, various companies from around the entire globe are working together to make that, the high-end chips kind of just disappear anyway, from my very rudimentary understanding of that. That's the one. They have the most, what is it? Photolithography. the most advanced photolithography technology. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. It's the Dutch. And isn't that interesting? Because, like, the Dutch, they've been there at the forefront of capitalism for a long time. You know, it was really the Dutch that kind of invented the idea of the corporation getting kind of the go-ahead from the government, the state, a monarch, a seal of approval to go around the world and start trading, like the modern style, or the style of colonialism that we know, the romantic style of colonialism. It was the Dutch, baby. They're heavily important to the modern capitalist economy. It was largely subsidized and created in conjunction with American companies like Intel, etc. Yeah, interesting. Subsidized by who? Like by the Dutch? I wonder. But yeah, they have all by the US. That's interesting. It's very interesting, isn't it? Yeah, they have all the knowledge. They have this. They have the technological ability. Hello, welcome to the stream. We are just going down a little bit of an AI rabbit hole at the moment, trying to figure out a few things when it comes to. You should read Chip Wars. Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, you've suggested Chip Wars before. I get my information from various sources that just talk about like geopolitics and global supply chains and stuff like that. But yeah, Chip Wars. I have to write that down. You've mentioned that before, and it does seem very, very interesting, right? Good morning from Finland, I believe. That's how I'm supposed to say it, or that's how we convert that. Let me just write this down. What is it? Chip Wars. Great book. Chip Wars. All right. All right, shall we shift gears then? And we're going to go on to something else, which is, again, it's part of the whole American reality TV show that we're investigating at the moment. But I think it's really interesting and rather important, actually. Trump has recently, I think it was just the end of last week, so it was probably Friday American time, on the weekend in Australia, decided to change the name through executive order. Decided to change the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Now, this is really interesting, if you ask me, in the sense that this has happened just after what we were looking at last week, which was, the Victory Day parade that happened in China to celebrate the end of the war against fascism and Japanese aggression, as they described it. And here we are, like a couple of days later, honestly, China has been flexing its military might and showing the world, using rhetoric like, we will not be bullied, we will not be intimidated, and we are going to be seeking peace through strength. They kept on referring to the idea of peace, and they've been showing off some incredible new military tech. From everything from the most sophisticated drone technology that's on offer, new hypersonic weapons, and IC BMs, and new amphibious technologies and drones, new submarine drone technology. And I said lasers, right? They were, showing off their laser technology to be able to get better locks on targets, destroy drone, anti-drone technology, and also, I think, in space warfare, that'll be a big thing. But it's so timely that just after China has basically shown off its military might in a very interesting display, that you have Trump overtly coming out and just being like, look, let's not call this the Department of Defense anymore. Let's call this the Department of War. Oh man, it's so out of sync and I can't do anything about it. I've actually tried to refresh it a couple of times. I don't know why OBS does that. Every now and again, OBS seems to do this and I can't fix it. It is really out of sync. It sucks. Like you mean like the visual, my camera is really delayed. Like I can try it and the only thing I can do, and this sucks, is like I can change it to my built-in camera, which is not my preferred option, but I think I might have to do that. Let's see if that testing 1 2. Nah, it's so delayed. All right, let's see if I can change cameras. Like the audio is fine. It's just that it's really delayed in terms of it's not syncing. I'm just gonna use this. That should be fine. Look at that. Look at the quality difference. So unfortunate. But we'll keep that. At least that's actually synced. Good thing Trump stopped all those wars. So renaming the Department of Defense makes sense. Yeah, I know, right? No, put the mask back on. See if that helps. Yeah. So where was I? It seems to be, yes, largely in response to the fact that, well, look, not directly in response to it, but the timing is incredible. All right, it's very coincidental that China has just made such an incredible display of the fact that they can defend themselves on home soil and the region is theirs. So if you have a look at kind of what has been happening, yeah, I have a Glow now. Yeah, it's just the cheaper camera, unfortunately. Yeah, if you've been having a look at what's been going on with geopolitics over the last, I don't know, 5 years now, at least, when it comes to what, like running simulations and war games around the Taiwan Strait. A lot of the war games and the simulations do actually show that if something went down over Taiwan, that the Americans would probably lose that scenario, or China would be able to take Taiwan. Now, it just depends, I guess, how you analyze what a Chinese win would be. If China takes Taiwan by force, but then like you have a people that are largely kind of anti-China there and they require a lot of suppression, and like it's a takeover that like leaves a bad stain on Chinese unification. Is that really a win for the Chinese exactly? I think they would much rather do it through soft power, as in like economic control over Taiwan and like kind of coercing them to come back into the fold, as opposed to having to do that via actual all-out war and suppressing them kind of violently, let's say, like kind of akin to a situation that you saw in Hong Kong. That wasn't the preferred option, but they kind of did that. But they did that through more like police. They literally have a bridge to the mainland and they just brought in the cops and like brought in Hong Kong to the fold. Now, this would require an actual military intervention, and like if it didn't go smoothly, it would be a problem for China at large. So like it really depends how you define what a Chinese victory is on the Taiwan front, and how they deal with like how to take Taiwan specifically. But if there was any type of altercation that like ended up meaning that like things were being shot back into mainland China, and there was a lot of destruction on the Chinese mainland coast as a result of any altercations with Taiwan, then like that again it would be questionable how much of a victory that would feel like for the Chinese, and they would be a little bit upset with that, I believe. And so the likelihood of an actual conflict, though, is very much geared towards the favor of the Chinese. And what they were demonstrating the other day was that in their backyard, in their region, they are fully capable and they're fully ready to take on any aggression against them and win that unequivocally. It's not really up for debate anymore whether or not if people come to China looking for a fight, whether or not they can handle that situation. That's what that was about. And lo and behold, you have idea of invading yourself is a problem in China. China show military might, Trump respond. Let's sign some paper to say we are great. Yes, that's basically it. In response to that, I don't know, basic that gesture from the Chinese to say that we are, we can stand up for ourselves now in our region and we are not going to be told what to do. You have the US openly claiming now or taking back kind of outdated early 20th century rhetoric about the idea of starting up the Department of War. Let's make it overt. Let's make it very, very clear to all of the people out there that this is not a Department of Defense. This is a Department of War. This is what this thing is about. This department within the government that helps and runs alongside the Pentagon and the military-industrial complex. We are about war. And I think a lot of the response is about kind of recognizing the warrior nature of the American people. We've spoken a lot about the culture issue there, or the cultural element there. The Americans do embrace, I think, a warrior culture, and like this is what that is in trying to invoke, is this idea of physical and like ownership of the right to conduct warfare. And it's kind of a backhanded, or it's an insult to the rules-based order in a post-UN world where everyone tried to come together as a unified global community and stop people from openly wanting to fight each other, really, and like all the problems that entails for civilians and local populations, and like everyone want to kind of chill off, chill massively in that regard. And so you have a lot of countries around the world that describe their departments that deal with military affairs as the Department of Defense. Like, it's the language. It's language that I hate. Like, I've said multiple times on this stream that, like, I hate how departments call themselves the Department of Defense or something like that, or Defense Forces and like all that sort of rhetoric. I hate that. It's double speak. It's exactly the type of stuff that George Orwell was warning us all about, 100 years ago, or 80 years ago, and it's double think, it's double speak. It doesn't make sense. Like, especially when it comes to the US, who have been the most active when it comes to literally invading other countries around the world on rather flimsy pretexts. Let's be honest, like weapons of mass destruction or something like that. The Department of Defense, they say, is defending America's interests home and abroad, and they do that by preempting threats that come from other countries, i.e. they wage war on somebody else before they wage war on them, whether that be through physical war or like a war on terror. And they're like worried about terrorists coming out of, I don't know, Afghanistan or something, so we better go into Afghanistan. Or we're worried that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, so we better wage war with Iraq to defend America's interests. It's been called the Department of Defense because it's defending, again, on domestic, at home and abroad. And so that is just double speak from Orwell's 1984, like right off the bat. It's just double speak to call a Department of Defense a Department of Defense. It is the Department of the military. It is the Department of warfare. That's really what it is. Let's be fucking honest. I'm sure a large element of it is defending the home soil, but it is also projection. Again, especially in American context, right? Nobody projects like the Americans. And so I've hated the idea of the Department of Defense. And like this actually gets rid of, for me, that kind of warped totalitarian language that you get in modern politics, where they kind of try to just confuse people into just accepting things by calling it a name that it isn't. Like, you heard the same rhetoric coming out from the Chinese during this military parade. Like, the rhetoric from the Chinese was peace through strength, i.e. we have the ability to kick your ass because of our military might, which again has projection capabilities. One of the things that stunned the Americans most, I think, was not only the hypersonic missiles, but the range of the missiles that were coming out of China. They have the range to literally strike anywhere in the planet at any point, and they can do it through the trifecta arrangement now. It's not just land projection, it's not just sea projection, it's not just projection from air anymore. They have all of the bases covered. They have the trifecta, which is something the Americans have had for a long time. I think the Russians have got the trifecta as well, but not many countries have that ability to have three types of nuclear deterrence. Again, as they say, we have nuclear warheads as a deterrent. That's another form of doublespeak, if you ask me, that you stockpile 5,000 nuclear weapons because you just want to deter other people from attacking you. Like, hello? Obviously, you're going to use those nuclear warheads it's not just about deterrence, like, let's be honest. But yeah, anyway, long story short, the Chinese flexed their muscles last week. 3 days later, Trump decides to rename the Department of Defense to the Department of War. I don't think it's a coincidence at all, and I definitely don't think I don't think it's isolated to that. I don't think it's a coincidence either that what you can see right now that's happening in the backyard of the US, the Caribbean Sea right now. You have projection to basically shore up Latin America. That's what's happening at the moment. You've had a reclassification of the war of drugs now into the war on terror. And terror, you can really technically wage war on terror, because you can wage war on drugs as such, but like, you can't really do that exactly through the military, but you can with the war on terror. Countries have definitely used the war on terror as a argument to actually militarily intervene in other people's countries. So here comes the Department of War. Let's see the press conference where Trump signed this executive order. Again, it's just an executive order at this point, but they're very, I think, it's fair income, this attempt to change the name of the department, and it's incredibly symbolic. It's not just a rebranding. The idea of, South China Sea is a better example. Let's just fish our waters. Yeah, let's just use the Coast Guard and like armies and armies of fishing boats to like pressure people in the Philippines to like, and like, even American fleets and stuff like that in the South China Sea. Let's just use the pressure of the Coast Guard and fishing boats. I think they call it a gray zone in terms of whether they're using real force or not. Trump said it was whole agenda that renamed it in the first place. It was whole agenda? Does this mean Mr. E is anti-woke, anti-liberal? What do you mean Trump said it was a whole agenda that renamed it in the first place? Do you agree? Like, part of his whole agenda? Like, they were always going to do this? We've read about the Department of Defense in Project 2025, and like, they never mentioned like renaming it. So this isn't like a long-range conservative effort that they've been calculating for a long time just to like try and get the department renamed because they want it to really mean something to them as the warriors that they are. This seems to be kind of contextual to what's going on at the moment, in my opinion, honestly. Oh, it was a whole woke agenda that renamed it in the first place. Yeah, I think I saw a little clip of that, actually. Sorry, not whole agenda, woke agenda. Yeah. That renamed it. Yeah. Well, like, if that's what the wokies were doing in like the 40s or the 50s, whenever they renamed it, then, They were well ahead of their time. This is why AUKUS is a thing. Deep sea capabilities is the only thing China doesn't have at the moment. Not for not having the subs. They just can't get into the Marinara Trench without the US attacking. Woke agenda changed it from the Department of War to the Department of Defense, was Trump's view. Yeah, I heard that one. Late to the chase. Icy Skiing, welcome to the stream. We're just about to have a look at like the US and their recent rebranding of the Department of War to the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Let's see if I can fix this camera again. See if that makes a difference now. I don't know if that does make a difference. No, it's still delayed. I don't know why it's like that. It's happened. These used to happen a lot, like, I don't know, 6 months ago. It's unfortunate. All right, back to it. All right. Let's have a look. And icebreakers. Nothing is taking Russia. Marinara Trench goes great with calamari. Like a good marinara. Right, where were we? I think I've already got a clip of it, actually. Yes, let's take the BBC angle on this one. Let's see what the BBC has to say. They know global affairs. Dr. Strangelove, Department of War. I think that reference has already been taken, actually. I think Squeeb was referencing that before. Right, let's do this. It's so much louder than the PBS thing that we just listened to. Fuck me dead. Turn that down.
The congressman here was the lead sponsor, so I think maybe he
John Ross, yes.
say more about it than I
John,
can.
please.
Well, it's difficult for Americans to buy a home, particularly after easy personal information has been bought. Call Americans.
Good job. Good. Okay. There it is. And that's going to help a lot of the homeowners of our great country. John, want to hold that?
Sure.
Thank you, John, very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, Will, you go ahead.
And I'd like to leave you with this gift from a constituent back in Tennessee.
Oh, I could use that at night.
It's an American flag.
That's very nice. I like that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. That's very nice.
Next, we have a number of executive orders for your attention, sir.
Okay.
From 1789 until 1947, our nation won some of its greatest military victories under the direction of a Secretary of War operating within a Department of War. Today, with this executive order, you...
There you go. Up to 1947, it was the Department of War.
will authorize the current Secretary of Defense and the current Department of Defense to once again embrace this great lineage and once again be named the Secretary of War and the Department of War.
So this is something we thought long and hard about. We've been talking about it for months, Pete and I, and Dan. Dan came into the fold. By the way, a great general. He headed up the, I wouldn't call it an attack. I'd almost call that one maybe even more than an attack. What he did with Iran, you saw the success of that operation. It was perfect. In fact, this was sent to me by the great company that makes that particular B-2 bomber, and it was flawless. It was actually flawless. They flew for 37 hours back and forth, and there wasn't a bolt that was out of condition. There wasn't an engine failure. There was no problem. It was a perfect attack, and it knocked out any possible nuclear capability for Iran, which nobody wanted to see, and we weren't going to put up with. So great job, Dan. And we've been talking about this Department of War. So we won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything before that and in between. And then we decided to go woke, and we changed the name to Department of Defense. So
there it is. There's your comment. We went woke. In 1947, remember that? And decided to change it from the Department of War to the Department of Defense. Nothing to do with the fact that the world had been through two horrible events known as the World Wars, and people were really, really anti having to sacrifice the lives of hundreds of millions of people because of belligerent nations around the world. No, nothing to do with that. That's why they changed the branding. It's really just because of the wokies. Actually, there were probably a bunch of woke people that learnt time travel and went back and just changed it. That's really what's happening here. Avalava, this department renaming sounds like something Pete wanted. Yeah, he's all for being a crusader to start a holy war. Yeah, a holy war, and he's a warrior too. He's a fucking warrior and a crusader. This is perfect for him. It's got such a great ring to it, right? The Secretary of War. As opposed to that lame D word, defense. Lame. Mariana, the really deep place in the Pacific where James Cameron went to film after he did Avatar. James Cameron, so good. All I know is the South Park reference to that. No history, Trump, you're getting sidetracked. Remember where you are. You're signing papers. Dilemma 85. So the reason America hasn't won a war since World War II, it's because everyone was using the wrong pronouns for the Department of That's fucking hilarious. That is actually fucking hilarious. That's why. Yes, that's why it's woke. I get it now. Yeah, they should have been calling it the Department of War, but it's been the Department of Defense, which is, yes, the wrong pronouns. Trump is for the boomers as the sun down. Trump is for the boomers as the sun down. As they sundown, right? Yeah, ending the war was woke agenda. Everyone became gay space commies before we reached the moon. 1947 is the downfall. Everyone, pussy, taco.
We're going Department of War, and I'd like to ask our Secretary of War to say a few words. Pete Hegseth. I think it's a much more appropriate name, especially in light of where the world is right now. We have the strongest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world.
Like the context of this, right? Like we've just had the China Victory Day celebrations, like 2 days before this has happened. Or not even. Yeah, like 2 days before this has happened. And like, here he is. Hey, he's flopping it out now. And he's like, look, we've got the strongest military in the world. We are like an undisputed military superpower. #1, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. We got this. And just to be sure, we're going to make sure that like people don't forget it. Here, we're going to change it to the Department of War. This is really, really infantile stuff coming from someone who is supposedly the deal man, right? The optics of this don't look great. It looks really insecure. Secretly of War then shared on X photos of his office store being, label being changed. Yeah, I know, right? Got to appeal to the leader to keep the job.
We have the greatest manufacturers of equipment by far. There's nobody to even compete, and you see that with this and so many other things. The Patriots are the best. Every element of the military, we make the best by far. So Pete, I'd like to ask you and maybe Dan Raisin-Cane to say a few words, please.
Mr. President, thank you. After winning a war for independence in 1789, George Washington established the War Department, and Henry Knox was his first Secretary of War. And this country won every major war after that, to include World War I and World War II. Total victory, Mr. President, as you said. Then 150 years after that, we changed the name after World War II from the Department of War to the Department of Defense in 1947. And as you pointed out, Mr. President, we haven't won a major war since, and that's not to disparage our warfighters, whether it's the Korean War, or the Vietnam War, or our generation of Iraq and Afghanistan. That's to recognize that this name change is not just about renaming, it's about restoring. Words matter. It's restoring, as you've guided us to, Mr. President, restoring the warrior ethos.
Boom. There it is. The warrior ethos, ladies and gentlemen. This is a huge thing. Like, we have spoken about this. This is an interesting, and definitely for Pete over here. Hey, he's the crusader. Hey, he's a warrior. So will they stop calling them preemptive strikes? Yeah, they're just war strikes now. They're just general strikes. Hey, wildcat strikes. Look, there it is. You've heard it. And it's the rhetoric that really seems to be the selling point here. He was like, look, not to say anything bad about our servicemen and women of the last 50 years or 70 years, but let's be honest. Before we had that name change, we won everything. It's an interesting line of argumentation, you must say. And pretty simple logic kind of stuff. They're simple people. The ones that want to rename things to the Department of War. Very simple people. If we do this, we're going to start winning again. And it seems like a very basic form of logic. I really hope there was more thought put into it than that.
Restoring victory and clarity as an end state. Restoring intentionality to the use of force. So at your direction, Mr. President, the War Department is going to fight decisively, not endless conflicts. It's going to fight to win, not to lose. We're going to go on offense, not just on defense. Maximum lethality, not tepid legality. Violent effect, not politically correct. We're going to raise up warriors, not just defenders. So this War Department, Mr. President, just like America, is back. Thank you for your leadership and your clarity.
Baby.
We're going to set the tone for this country. America first, peace through strength, brought to you by the War Department. We're back.
All right, thank you very much. Very well stated, and really it has to do with winning.
We're
We should
back,
have won
baby.
every war. We could have won every war, but we really chose to be very politically correct or wokey.
Red Pen channel have great videos on pro women during war. Super cool stories of class conscious heroes. Interesting. Red Pen channel. Trump loves renaming stuff to change the name, the meaning of the topic. Same thing done with the Gulf of America. Not endless conflicts, surmise current tactics. I know a gay dude from the USA Army that's into crypto that's super homophobic and is weird as... He loves this narrative, but also grooms young boys on Twitter. Weird as... Interesting. Bit of a complex character by the sounds of it. Won't support Ukraine as Russia won't stop. So why would you support Ukraine in the first place? Interesting. Eh? Same with Palestine. Won't support as no end in sight. Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. The empire will be most aggressive when it's about to fall. It's a shame these folks won't suffer. Only the working people. Yeah, it's unfortunate, isn't it? Yeah, they go down swinging. They definitely go down swinging. Yes, and it's the little people that will get caught up the most.
And
the warriors.
We just fight forever, and then we, win. We wouldn't lose really. We just fight to sort of tie. We never wanted to win wars that. Every one of them we would have won easily with just a couple of little changes or a couple of little edicts. I was told that ISIS would take 5 years to win. And Dan Kane, when I told him how long would it take, he said, I think about 4 weeks, sir. I said, what do you mean 4 weeks? I was told 5 years by the people in Washington. You know who they were? 5 years. I said, you can't do it in 4 weeks. I actually flew to Iraq to meet with him, and I met him at a big air base. And remember that famous day, right? It turned out to be a famous day for our country because you're now the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which is the biggest deal. And he is because he did things that everybody said he couldn't do. So they said it was going to be 5 years, and he knocked them out in about 4 weeks total, 100%. We took over, and ISIS was gone. And
I want to fact check that one. Or at least ask my research assistant. Trump is stating... Trump has stated that He ended ISIS within 4 weeks during his first term. Can you verify this claim? You may be pleased to hear that this is demonstrably false. Why would I be pleased to hear that? Eh? Don't you fucking judge me, AI assistant. How dare you? Fact check. Check your fact, debunk this claim. Trump stated in a 5th of March speech that he had defeated ISIS in 4 weeks, but the facts don't align. When he took office in January 2017, ISIS held large territories in Iraq and Syria, including Mosul, liberated only in July 2017, 6 months into his presidency. By November 17, about 10 months into his presidency, over 95% of ISIS-held territory had been retaken, according to the Wilson Center, not within a 4-week period. His claim of 100% territory seizure in Syria was only made in December 2018, almost 2 years into his term. Interesting. All right, fine. 2 years, 4 weeks. Come on. Still better than 5 years, eh? Still way better than 5 years. I don't think Trump cares if tech onshore's jobs just will announce that they will. All right. Let's continue, shall we, with this one. I want to see what the general has to say. Come on, General.
Pretty amazing. But we never fought to win, and now if we have to fight it all, we solved 7 wars. We have the one that I thought was going to be probably one of the easier ones, and that's with President Putin and Ukraine. And that turned out to be one that's a little bit more difficult, but the 7 are done. They were supposed to be much more difficult to solve. I solved every one of them, and we're going to get the other one done too. But it turned out to be a little bit more difficult than I thought. And it'll get done or they'll be held to pay. But because they're losing 6 to 7, it used to be 5. I used to tell you 5. Now it's almost 7. I guess 7,000 people last week. 7,813 people, young soldiers died. Russian and Ukrainian, not American soldiers. But it's a shame. It's just, they're human lives, and I want to see it stop. But General Kane's done a fantastic job. And again, defeated ISIS, which they said would take a long time. And it didn't take a long time at all. And did other things that people said really couldn't happen. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We have the greatest soldiers in the world. Dan, say a few words, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. It's a true honor for me today to represent the incredible men and women of America's joint force. Today and every day, the 2.8 million service men and women stand ready to fulfill our sacred duty to protect America at home and abroad. As the President said, America's military is the single most powerful fighting force in the world. The mission you and the Secretary have given us is clear and unambiguous to deliver peace through overwhelming strength. And I remind everyone that the U.S. military can reach any adversary at the time and place of our choosing. Service to this nation is an incredible gift, and we're grateful and honored every day to do so. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, and it's an honor to sign this. And we will do that right now.
Whoa. Yeah, he's not happy with Putin, is he? Hey? He was gonna, I said I was gonna sort that war out. It's taking longer than I thought. Not happy about it, but here we are. I'm working on it. He's not happy with Putin at the moment. Definitely not. And like what's happened as a result of those meetings that they had? Like he walked down the red carpet in Alaska with Putin. Crickets since then. 2 weeks ago, I had Zelensky in the White House with all the major European leaders. And they're talking about making sure that there are security guarantees. if Russia wants it to come to the table, then they want security guarantees and they want a ceasefire. Nothing. There was no ceasefire. Nothing. Not even they were supposed to meet, if you remember. Zelensky and Putin were going to meet, and then Trump was going to be part of a trilateral meeting with the three of them to figure out a way forward. Putin's done nothing in that respect. He's probably more emboldened by the fact that he's just been at the Chinese military display, and he's more than happy to keep the machine going because he's getting support. He's getting support from the new axis of evil, as the West has been describing. It's pretty fucking bold stuff, right? The axis of evil. Very bold stuff from the liberal Western media. We will fix it. Putin is killing people. Not happy. Good people. Not American people. People dying. Not happy Putin. Yeah, I know, right? They're not Americans, but they're still dying. So that's a problem. It'd be worse if they were American.
I think that's a big one, I'll be honest. I think that's a big one. It's a big one, Mr. President. Do you have any questions?
So good. So good. The phallic stuff, the dick measuring context analogy is going so far. Can we just hear that one again?
That's a big one. It's a big one, Mr. President.
It's so funny. It's like the South Park stuff. It's a big one. Oh yeah, that's a big one, Mr. President. Yeah, it's huge. Just tell him what he wants to hear, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big one.
Do you have any questions on this subject? We're going to be discussing the G20 in a couple of minutes, but yes, please. No, right there.
What gave you the idea for this rebrand? And a question for you, the newly minted Secretary of War. What message does this send to our enemies, to our allies, to the American people? And again, what gave you the idea for this rebrand at this moment?
I think it sends a message of victory. I think it sends really a message of strength. We're very strong. We're much stronger than anyone would really understand. And again, you know, having the great equipment, we have just so much better. You look at all of the, just any of it, submarines as an example. We're 20 years ahead of anyone else. Nobody even compares. And I let a lot of this happen.
Trump has also made the claim that the US is 20 years ahead of the closest competitor with regards to their submarine technology from a military perspective. Can you verify this claim at all? Dude, this rhetoric is a direct response to Xi. It is. It's so direct, isn't it? It's crazy. It's not even subtle. Once you see it, man, you can't unsee it. Trump is zesty, LOL. It's so funny. There is a lip sync guy that does the perfect body language to Trump's voice. The right wing are in denial over certain aspects of society and human behavior. Yeah, denial is definitely a good way to say it, isn't it? Far out. What the experts say, Admiral Samuel Paparo is head of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, and the U.S. submarine technology is one generation, roughly 10 to 20 years ahead of counterparts like China. They've got sources there. The Visual Capitalist. Wow, that's the source. Analysts observe that the U.S. submarines have sustained potential stealth and operation advantages. Clarifying the numbers, the exact 20-year lead doesn't stem from an official Department of Defense report. Rather, it reflects assessment by high-ranking military personnel and defense analysts. Meanwhile, China's submarine capabilities are improving rapidly, modernizing fleets and closing gaps. Still, they remain behind the US in advanced stealth, detection avoidance, and nuclear-powered designs. Interesting. That's from Wired and ABS-CBN. I know that's a biggie. Like the stealth stuff, that is a massive issue. Remember, like when we learned about how Silicon Valley started, and so all the tech race that was going into Stanford, and MIT, I think, but like mostly the tech stuff that was coming out of Stanford to help the US win in air raids against the Nazi Air Force. A lot of the tech that was going in was about how to get around sensors and being picked up by enemy radars and all that sort of stuff. Heaps of the tech. And like one of the defining moments in the war was really about the Americans getting that technological edge in the end because of the stuff that was coming out of their tech universities to help with the war effort. So stealth technologies does make a big difference. I wonder what it means in a world of warfare based on drone technology nowadays. I wonder what that means. Germany had better engineered tanks, but sheer quantity maybe, it can win in a world war situation. They had many better engineering techniques, especially I believe in their air force as well. But yeah, there was a war about being picked up by the enemy radar systems, massive tech war going on, which is what gave birth to Silicon Valley, which is really interesting at the end of the day.
Happened in my first term. We totally rebuilt our military. And then, of course, you had that catastrophe in Afghanistan where they gave up a lot of the equipment, but a relatively small amount, but a lot. It was a lot in Afghanistan. I think it was the most, General, I'd say it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, the way that happened, the way they went to the wrong airport. They should have gone to Bagram, not the local little airport with no security, with tight quarters, etc. You know what happened. I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, frankly. That was under the Biden administration. That was terrible. And we were going to be leaving, but we were leaving with strength and dignity. We were going to keep Bagram because Bagram's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. We're going to have that all to ourselves, a big, beautiful place built many years ago from money that today would be the equivalent of, many, many billions of dollars. You couldn't build it. The longest runways, the most powerful runways in terms of load capacity. And we just walked away from it. So stupid. And they were fools. The people were fools. No, we have the strongest military, and I think that indicates we have the strongest military. And, we had it, and we won World War I, we won World War II. We won everything before, and as I said, we won everything in between. And we were very strong, but we never fought to win. We just didn't fight to win. We didn't lose anything, but we didn't fight to win. We could have won every one of those wars quickly, but they went a route that I think was probably politically correct, but not correct for our nation. So I think the Department of War sends a signal. Yeah, please.
Mr. You alluded to this a little while ago. You said that this rename is a, quote, a good reflection of where the world is at right now. How do you square naming it the Department of War when you've been pursuing peace in so many different parts of the world?
Well, I think I've got...
Did you hear the question? How do you square renaming this the Department of War while you're also pursuing peace as part of your agenda, as part of your bid to get a Nobel Peace Prize, eh?
Peace because of the fact that we're strong.
Peace.
Yeah.
So many different parts of the world.
Well, I think I've gotten peace because of the fact that we're strong. If we weren't strong, those...
That is exactly Xi's rhetoric. Peace through strength. That was said multiple times in China's military parade the other day, multiple times.
7 deals I told you about, the 7 wars, a majority of them wouldn't have happened. They happened for 2 reasons, trade and our strength. Those are the 2 reasons. And probably strength may be more important than trade. So if I was very proud of all those wars. Those were wars that could not be settled, and I settled all of them. And we'll get the other one settled also. That'll get settled. But without the strength, we wouldn't have settled any of them. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, is it your expectation that Congress will codify this name change in the law?
I don't know, but we're going to find out. But I'm not sure they have to. We're signing an executive order today.
That's interesting. Let's double check that. I can never understand like how, you know, executive orders really fit into the whole narrative of like the American political system. I know the Congress is supposed to make laws, but the president can't just make laws up. It has to go through Congress. But like this isn't really a law. This is just a rebranding exercise. Does changing the name of the Department of Defense to Department of War need to go through Congress, or is it sufficient that the president makes that decision? Hmm. President Lowe? No, not legally. Congress required? Yes, because the department's name is set in law. Oh, interesting. The Department of Defense was established and named in federal law via the National Security Act, with the Department of Defense name officially codified in 1949. Only Congress can amend and repeal the statute. Historically, when agencies have changed names, like the Veterans Administration because of the Department of Veteran Affairs, it was done through acts of Congress, not executive orders. Ah, okay. So no, the president cannot formally rename the Department of Defense to the Department of War by decree. What's currently happening is purely symbolic. The executive branch is permitted to use the name internally and ceremonially, but to legally change the department requires a majority vote in both House and Senate. Yeah, okay. But like, why wouldn't the House and Senate, which is completely run by the Republicans, why wouldn't they just allow that amendment through? That'd be a really simple amendment to do, right? Trump military parade. So Trump is the most embarrassing thing to happen to the human race. He's simple and has bowel issues. Also old and behind the times. It's funny as fuck to watch how they isolate themselves from logic. Trump's military parade versus China parade is doing Trump's noodle in. His action asked it to endeavor to find a way to change its name on a permanent way. Trump's military parade did a McGregor, like when he got hit in the head and never came back. That's interesting. Yeah, look, it's a very particular situation, this one. But like, I think rhetoric is really important in politics, and this Department of War, it kind of gives emboldens someone like Pete Hegseth, really, who is a very belligerent man himself. I like the way that Avalava described him as a crusader. He's a bit of a literal Christian crusader, this guy. And so, yeah, very combative approach to world affairs and like the dominance of America. Again, though, I wouldn't write off the Americans at all in this race, just because we've seen Xi flexing his muscles. And I think the ultimate test of that is, if Xi really believed that the Americans were down and out for the count and they didn't have to consider them militarily at all, they wouldn't be wasting any time when it comes to Taiwan. They really would be over there flexing their muscles directly and like coerce using their powers of coercion to literally just take Taiwan kind of off the discussion board. But like, they do have to factor in America. America is definitely capable and poses a large threat to China's overall strategic ambitions, especially in the context of what they have in their own region. They have the first island chain, which I believe is what Indoctrinathan was talking about before, in terms of their theaters. And like America, and from a geographical perspective, it has the entirety of its coastline to the Pacific. It has the entirety of its coastline to the Atlantic and the North Atlantic specifically to play with. Now, people would argue that's just more coastline to defend. But like, it also gives you amazing strategic capability in terms of you can kind of go anywhere you want. You're not constrained. Now, China is heavily, heavily constrained. Even if it wants to, use its icebreakers, as Squeeb was talking about before, and, help the Russians out and take over the Arctic Sea, which they do have ambitions for. They definitely have ambitions for. They have to get past China. They have to get past Japan. So, they have to get past the Philippines and Malaysia in order to get out. They have to even go past in Indonesia to a certain extent. And like all of those players in the first island chain are massive constraints to their ability to not only project, but sustain any type of projection into the Indian Ocean or to the Pacific broadly, or even go like I said, north to the Arctic. It's a massive constraints for the Chinese. They can't, let's just say they make it out, they get through into the Indian Ocean or they get through into the Pacific Ocean somehow, unless they have a direct supply route as well that goes through that island chain. They're setting themselves up for big trouble if they're just isolated now in the middle of the Pacific Ocean somewhere or in the middle of the Indian Ocean. They need to be able to refuel. They need to be able to supply themselves. They can't just project their new and fancy and shiny looking navy. They can't just go and make a run for it, get to the first island chain, and just be sitting in the middle of an ocean somewhere. They need to set up a situation where they can actually project and maintain that projection. So the Americans have a massive advantage on that front because they don't have any restrictions on where they can go from both sides in the Pacific and in the Atlantic. They can go where they want. They can go, they can go west, east, north, south. It doesn't really matter. No one's really blocking them off or stopping their entry or re-entry. So their exit or re-entry back into their strategic ports and their naval infrastructure. So China's got a bit of a problem there, but that really is just in relation to their navy. When it comes to their ability to work, though, within the East China and the South China Sea, I think they've pretty much got that covered as we've been speaking. I'm just here to watch trash fire. Enjoy the stream while I lose it at work. See you later. Thanks for joining us today. Good luck. Good luck with your service to capital. I hope it treats you as kindly as possible. China seems to have better optics around its offshore military influence, say compared to the USA, Middle East bases, etc., and the sentiment around the occupation, etc. Yeah, they definitely do, and they've set up some bases as well in the Persian Gulf, I believe. Is that right? So they have got military bases around, and at least a naval base around as well to help with their projection capabilities. But I think their real influence, the Chinese, really comes from their economic influence. They go around and they help support and provide people with infrastructure, investments, which they don't always go smoothly, but it's much more diplomatic than I think the American history of doing the same thing has been since World War II, which was much more heavy-handed, I would say. Jag, you got to word that through. That's all I can see there, unless the rest was censored or something. Work, South China Sea. My African and South American friends seem to like the semantics around China currently over some of the US semantics and soft influence, etc. I could have it all wrong though. No. Look, they definitely play the diplomacy game and use their things like the Belt and Road Initiative to really cement their soft power. And people are encouraged by that because someone's investing in them. It's instead of being excluded from the being given any infrastructure funding and being just preyed upon by things like the World Trade Organization and the IMF. China seems to be using its influence and its money to help build up this culture of it being the new power that people can lean on. China Vulture is much more focused. Venture? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Pull resources back to home, empire building. Yeah, that's why BRICS and the Belt and Road is so crucial for them. Yeah. And like it's interesting because like what happens as well is like they have good relations with all of these countries, like all over Africa, let's say, and wherever they send their BRI projects, like Central Asia, Eurasia, depending on how you look at it, and those countries support them by voting for them in the UN. So like, you know, it's they can get some policy made, some decisions made on the global stage in their interest because, you know, they've used their soft power wisely. Sorry, culture. Sorry. I should have guessed that. China culture is more home focused. Pull the resources back home. Yeah. It's interesting that like the early colonial phase of capitalism, which helped birth the Industrial Revolution, was a mercantilist style where like you had more coming into the country than going out of the country, and the idea was to bring the goods back to the home soil. The very mercantilist approach, as opposed to the globalized world approach, where everybody has a piece and everyone trades, and you know maybe you have some trade deficits here and there, but like overall it's good for capitalism, baby. But like the like even the Americans are looking like through Trump's tariff policy and stuff like that. It's very protectionist, very mercantilist, and yes, that's definitely the Chinese way. But like the Chinese also, like talking about soft power, they actually in their imperial tradition throughout, you know, the thousands of years that they have been, you know, basically the most dominant power in the world. For most of human civilizational history, they didn't actually use like direct force unless necessary, but they used trade relations, which is exactly how they're going about playing this game at the moment. They make their neighbors or people in their trade networks dependent on their trade to survive, and then they coerce them economically. So like, you know, if you don't do what we say, we're going to cut you off. We're going to put punitive measures on you economically. And that seems to work. That's how China does its empire building. You can get 0% finance in Australia through China. I know brokers that were part of bank expansion in the 2000s. Lots of people that tried to make land banks but turned to China for better contracts. That's mental. Does China own Australian agricultural fields? I don't know. Should we ask the research assistant there? Sebastian? Are you able to confirm if China, the state or the party or private individuals own Australian agriculture or Australian agricultural land? I'd say only bad credit allows China to own farms in Australia, as it's 0% finance. That's mental. And like that's the economic soft power. That's how you. How much of Australian agricultural land is foreign owned? As of 30th of June 2023, about 12.9% of Australia's agricultural land is owned and controlled by foreign entities. China's interests hold the largest share among foreign countries, with approximately 7.5 million hectares, representing 2.1% of Australian agricultural land. China accounted for 2.3% in 2017 to 2018, the highest among foreign investors, followed by the UK at 2.6%. Isn't that crazy? That like that's the difference. Like the UK and China is very similar there. Ownership records do not distinguish whether the land is owned by the government, the state, or private individuals. Most of the investments appear to be made by private or corporate entities, not by the state itself, but confirmation is limited by reporting constraints and privacy rules. Cubby Station, 93,000 hectare irrigated farming property in Queensland, originally purchased by China-affiliated Shandong Ruyi. later acquired by the Macquarie Asset Management, an Australian firm. Ownership during acquisition often involves joint ventures, blending both foreign and domestic shareholding. Yeah, I was wondering how they figure that out. Isn't that interesting? They do joint ventures. Foreign ownership of Australia's agricultural land is real, but represents only a fraction, around 13% overall. Chinese interests lead among foreign stakeholders, but represent 2.1% of national agricultural land. Interesting. I looked over contracts around farms and gold-bearing land. Many cotton farms. Dr. Tai Renault. Many cotton farms in the Murray-Darling are Chinese national run. Yeah. And, cotton, not the best industry for the Australian climate. It would be in Australian favour more of China's worked on farms, etc. If Australians maybe worked on farms, etc. It really falls back to material effort of Australia as a whole. It's the middle people to make bank doing these deals, i.e. LGA, state and federal. Yeah, goddamn government. A lot of non-state Chinese just donated their surplus masks and COVID supplies and sent them back to China. All right. Interesting. All right, so we're going to have 13% is huge. Only a fraction is a weird framing. Is this DeepSeek? No, this one is ChatGPT. Is this DeepSeek? Okay, I get it. I get the question, actually. I guess it really depends, actually. Like, how productive is the land that they're using? Are they using all of the most productive land? Because not all agricultural land in Australia would be very productive either. A lot of it would be semi-arid, I would say. So if they've got the best holdings if foreign holdings for 13% are in the best areas, then that's a big fucking problem in terms of security. If you wanted to be able to service your population securely, anyway. All right, we are going to have a quick break, and we're going to wrap up the political kind of and analytical section of today's stream, and then we're going to dive into some Rome Total War playing, and stick around for a chat, basically. So if you guys want to continue the discussion on America's imperial intentions, now they have a Department of War, and then potentially China's imperial intentions as their soft power grows, then yeah, please stick around. We'll be back in a few minutes and we can continue chatting. All right. Cheers. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. All right, here we are. Still so disappointed about this fucking camera issue. Thought we were over this. All right, let's do this. Let's get Rome fired up. Icy Skiing. The land around cotton farms comes with water stock. You mean like water allocation that comes with the land? Because isn't that what the fight was over when it comes to the Murray-Darling Basin and other like water catchments? Is that like people, or potentially, I guess, agriculturalists, let's say, were not actually using their water allocations appropriately and were siphoning off way more than they're supposed to? Do you play any cross-platform games? No. No, I don't. Negative. To be honest, I don't even have any consoles anymore. It's been a long time. Yeah, the land comes with the water allocation. Ah, okay. Yeah, I don't play any games on any other consoles. Actually, this is the first time I've played, like, honestly, games in years. My intention is to, like, try to ramp up the amount of stream hours that I do. And people do a lot of gaming. And, like, if I can get more exposure just by sheer volume, like in terms of hours that I spend streaming, to get different levels of exposure at different times of the day, that's the point, or the idea anyway, around starting to do games, or starting to do some type of gameplay during streams, because people seem to, it seems to be a huge part of streaming culture, is gaming culture. And like, again, not that I play much, I just play Switch, but I live in my car, etc. So I was wondering what you play. Ah, okay, yeah, no, just using my lappy, to be honest. But again, like, it's really part of the strategy to try and get more stream hours up during the week. It was a couple of times, like a month ago, that I couldn't stream in the morning because I had prior commitments, and I streamed in the afternoon. And I picked up, I guess, all of these people from Europe and from the West Coast in America that I wouldn't have, I guess, gotten access to, because I was just doing like morning streams in Australian time. And so, like, it was interesting to see like the change in audiences that come at different times of the day in terms of streaming. So I was thinking to just like, yeah, chill out or hang out in the afternoon, play games and talk. But like, this is a game that I used to play back in the day when I did enjoy gaming and stuff like that. So I thought I should relive those days, relive that experience. And I wanted to start with, Rome. Start with the ancient mode of production based on capital. We work our way through the different modes of production. Make it as Marxist as possible. The Spartans do not ask how many, but where they are. Ah, so hardcore, you Spartans. Is that Pete Hegseth there under that helmet? Probably is. All right, let's see if I can fix this view here. First time you came on, you said you lived off the grid. I thought you lived on a property somewhere. I thought that's what you potentially meant by off the grid. Pretty sure that's what you said when you first came on to a stream. All right, I think that's okay. Might turn down the volume a bit though. Lots of different streamers stream games. Cool to watch and chat around gameplay regardless of the channel content. Yeah, the heaps of, like, so much of streaming culture seems to be about yeah, gameplay. And like even the like I didn't realize, but like even the big like kind of political ones, like Hassan used to stream and play games and stuff like that. I bought an imported Toyota Estima van, and yeah, I'm off grid. That's excellent. Good on you. And like I'm assuming that's a choice thing then. If you want to be off grid, when you describe it like that, it's a choice. Because I know there's people that live out of their vehicles. Vehicle. No, it's not really a choice thing. I can't remember where we were up to last week. Lost my health in. There's more floods. No fucking way. Tom Tanuki made a video on it. He's a cool dude. Yeah, right. Holy shit. That's scary, man. I'm sorry to hear that. And so I'm assuming you had to deal with insurance companies? Or maybe lack thereof, if that's why you don't have a place anymore. I have chosen the life. I got a superannuation total disability payout. You chose, yeah. I chose the life. A large army is always disorderly. I cut myself out of a roof with a kitchen knife and saved heaps of people. Oh my god. That's crazy. That's mental. And so what, you just sat on the roof and had to wait it out? What a story, fuck. That's hardcore, man. It's fucking hardcore. Oh yeah. Forgot about that. Now I just watch people become disenfranchised by the system. Lovely. Lovely. Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I do, right? I talk to people who are disenfranchised by the system and try to look for people that are, you know, interested in doing something about that. Or at least are ideologically opposed to that issue with the system. Or any issues with the system. Try to use that to an advantage. Start a movement. That's the idea. I like your channel. It's interesting class consciousness versus becoming disenfranchised. Yeah. You know, I'm constantly working on the not on the disenfranchised, but the class consciousness angle. I honestly think that is like one of the biggest problems of like modern society is the incredible way that our class consciousness has been completely destroyed, like completely destroyed over, I don't know, the last 100 years, I guess. I feel like since at least the last 2 world wars, not that I've experienced them, but, you know, since the last couple of world wars, people have been completely disassociated with the fact that how the capitalist system kind of works, and creates certain social relations where there are workers that create value, and then there's kind of those that live off the rest of society with a complex division of social labor, a really complex division of labor, and like everyone kind of lives off the value that a group of people make, and like people have forgotten that there is like a working class or a worker versus capitalist divide, and so like they don't even understand, like they're so far down the path of alienation as a result of the system that they have absolutely no idea, that they even exist as a class. And like one of like the biggest jobs before you can do anything like revolutionary, anything in terms of a movement, is you just have to kind of remind people that there is an issue out there, or there is a class system out there. It might not be obvious, but there is a class system out there, if you know what I mean. Every prole has their story that unites them. The human construct is amazing. Yeah, I agree. Yes. Yeah, the way that we come together and form societies is incredible. And we all act like we're all individuals, thanks to the individualistic nature of this mode of production. Everybody kind of believes that we're just a society of individuals. It is wild, and I'm glad you like the class conscious banter, because like yeah, I honestly believe it's one of the most important things that we can do. I'm having some like weird delay on my end. Does it look really laggy? If anyone's actually watching this, I'm not just listening to it in the background. Let me know if the video is really delayed. I've had some real problems with my video today, unfortunately. It's really annoying. Building. Not. I worked in fine dining, which is a dead industry with no union. It's a reflection of the alienation from skills of labor and inherited values through sharing aims, the conservation called culture. It's a dead industry with no union. It's a reflection of the alienation from skills of labor and inherited values through sharing and the conversation called culture. That's interesting. Yeah, and we live in such a service-driven economy anyway. A lot of the unionized potential that comes, like the power that comes through the working class in a mostly service-driven economy, I think is diminished as well, because like when you are the working right at the coal face, as they used to call it, you used to realize your potential in value adding, and so like you used to believe that if you went on strike or something like that, you were directly impacting the capitalist class, and now with society in a different fashion, let's call it, in much of the advanced industrial world, people are alienated from their understanding of their power in the relationship. I think I pissed off Adam Powell, the creator of Neopets. He has been, what's that, DDoS, attacking everywhere I show up the last few days. I nuked his crypto bags in whale games the last year. Wait, what's DDoS? What's that? I don't know the reference. No way is that still happening. Far out. Sick of it.
Onward! Aye, Captain. Yes, Captain. Imperator. Move out! Sir!
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not bad. Let me know if you're watching. Do the roll call. Or if you're in the background, just listening along. Just tell me if you're here. So we're building still in Sparta, yes. DDoS causes lag. Right.
Imperator. Fleet ready. Sir. Orders.
Yo, still here, fam. Good to have you, Avalava. Lurk work. Yeah, there we go. Thanks for the roll call. Not sure if my stream is loading properly on YouTube, but it seems frozen. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Does that mean the gameplay is frozen as well? Tried with FreeTube and a browser. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why this is happening. It seems to be all uploading fine from my end. Does that mean, yeah, is the footage like completely frozen? That sucks if it is.